Sup everyone. So here's the question for you. Is Genshin addictive? Now, whoa, to some of you guys, this may be coming on as quite a bit of a loaded question because nobody's here to think about that. However, recently I've begun to really question just how addictive of a game Genshin Impact can be. Now, some of you guys are in here still playing and you may or may not enjoy the game to the degree that you once did or at all. However, the fact that you are still here playing the game could be wrapped up and summed up in many different ways. Some of you guys are like, I'm too deep to quit. Some of you guys are like, I'm still really interested in a few aspects of the game, so I'm going to continue playing until I no longer find those things enjoyable. Others might be like, I've spent too much money in this game to quit. And then there's the ones who are saying, well, there's nothing really better to do, so I guess I'm just in it until something better comes along, which I will then quit. And of course, who can forget the ones who are profiting immensely off of this game? I'm talking like $50,000 a month, and they simply cannot move away from this. However, their passion for playing the game have long since burnt out, and they are now just working off of the remnants of what once was a great passion project. So today I'm here as somebody who wants to share with you guys a research paper, and this isn't just something I wrote, trust. Actually, I'll source this in the comments below. You guys can go read it for yourself. I have done so, and I found this wildly interesting. And this, let me tell you, is only one of many ways the game Genshin Impact has so many people essentially on a hook. So let me read the hypothesis suggested within the study, and it's done by people from Stanford University and the University of Michigan, so quite the interesting stuff here. All right, the study is called Undermining Children's Intrinsic Interest with Extrinsic Reward, and the hypothesis states that a person's intrinsic interest in an activity may be decreased by inducing him to engage in that activity as an explicit means to some extrinsic goal. Now, what this study ends up proving is that if you give a reward or you tie some sort of reward to a task. In the study, it was that they took children who like to draw, and then they took this group of children, and before this experiment, these children were just drawing on their own. They would draw in their free time, and they would do it as an activity that was fun and engaging for them. And then the researchers took these children, and then every time they would draw, they would give them a reward. And basically, it made the children associate the act of drawing with some sort of reward. What ended up happening over a period of time is that once the researchers stopped giving the children rewards, over some time, the children would then stop drawing because they would no longer associate the act of drawing as something that was meaningful or worthwhile. So this basically shows how the researchers rewired the children's brain by associating a task that they used to like with some sort of reward, and now the act of drawing is now no longer associated with the enjoyment of the act, but rather the expectation for the reward. And once that went away, the task no longer felt as rewarding or as meaningful. So some of you guys might be sitting there scratching your head and be like, well, Walrus, that doesn't really, tie together with Genshin Impact really much. Well, yes and no, because in Genshin Impact, I'll be quite honest with you guys, and if you are honest to yourself, or at least the state of Genshin Impact and its player base, you would admit that for the vast majority of these tasks and things that we do, it's tied to the reward of Primo Gems. And I'm not here to argue on this point. A lot of you guys would be like, no, Walrus, I play this game 100% for the music. I play this game for the specific shade of green that the trees are colored. I play this game because someone has to stand for the injustice that the Sumerians are about to face in the upcoming patches. Okay, right? You can have this battle, but let me just tell you that by having Primo Gems tied to the tasks that we complete on a daily basis, you can call it events, you can call it chests, you can call it exploration, call it whatever you want. All these tasks that we are doing in exchange for Primo Gems. And of course, it's not always Primo Gems. For example, during the current event, you can get official skin. That has nothing to do with Primo Gems, but that is still something that is tied to a task. And basically, it acts as an incentive. Okay, so now let's talk about something else. In another study, it was later proven that what the researchers found in this particular study, the study that I just showed you guys, undermining children's intrinsic interest with extrinsic reward, what they found in this study basically outlines satiation. So what that means is basically a measurement of satisfaction. And this new study showed that what the children were in fact responding to was the repetition of the task. Over a period of time, they were repeating the same task and they simply lost interest. A great example of this would be, let's say, if you love to play a video game like Genshin Impact, for example. You love Genshin Impact, and what if you got paid to play Genshin Impact? You'd be like, wow, what a freaking sweet deal, right? Sign me up. Where do I sign? The clause states that you have to play Genshin Impact an X amount of hours every single day, from what time to what time. The parameters are all specified, and you end up playing this game day in, day out, 7 days a week, all day, every day. Eventually you'll get bored of it, and what ends up happening is you will frequent this game less and less, right? And what this new study shows is that in fact the children were not necessarily losing interest because of the lack of rewards. Sure, that may have been a factor, but another huge factor was simply overstimulation and fatigue from a repetitive task. Now, here's where the kicker is. This new study proves and shows that if you are able to limit the exposure to the task and still allow it in small dosages, but also control the time and quantity of the exposure, you are essentially able to manipulate the interest of the subject. That is the meat of the story, people. Does that not sound very familiar to you guys? Limit the exposure. Make sure we don't get overexposed to the contents. Make sure that we get it in a fixed dosage. In fact, if this were to be combined with the rewards tactic, it actually can rewire our brain to have us associate the contents of the game with a huge dopamine hit. Think about the summons. Think about every time a story quest was able to bring you to tears. Think about when you close your eyes and just enjoy the music. Think about the scenery. Think about all the cool combat mechanics that you get to do and all the reactions and numbers popping up on screen. All of it. It's a carefully curated experience made only for you. Yes, you sitting right there in front of the monitor looking at the Kazuha. You may have him, you may not have him. Maybe some of you guys are so close to getting him and you just feel that itch and you're gonna close away, or you maybe already have closed this video just to go summon for Kazuha, because we are all one way or another addicted. Now, the level of addiction here may vary depending on how reliant you are to the effects of a dopamine hit, but this is just one out of many things that Hoyoverse employs to continuously get people to associate with their game Genshin Impact. Now, I don't mean for this to be negative, because at the end of the day, alcohol exists, gambling exists, and a whole slew of other things in this world that is addictive and takes advantage of our dopamine sensors. But I just wanted you guys to understand, you who took the time, watched this video, and just to understand the science behind it. There's no problem playing a game. There's no problem when you are fully head over heels in love with the game, in love with its characters, music, landscape, whatever. That's what we call passion. If you have passion for the game, that's amazing. But understand the framework behind some people's obsession with the game is also important to make sure you don't end up in their situation. Do we want primo gems? Of course we do. Are we going to summon for more characters? Of course we are. Are we going to bend over backwards for Hoyoverse to show them that we will do anything for a little bit of that Genshin dopamine hit? Of course we are, because we're human. And just because we know how this works doesn't mean we're safe from it. Alright, with that said, thank you guys so much, and I would love to make more videos like this. If you enjoyed it, watch it to the end. Make sure to comment down below dopamine, and I hope you guys take the time to read the research paper if you're interested in more details. But this has been EroticWalruss, and thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, stay safe. Peace, bye.